Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the people that make the sneaker history community and this podcast possible. It's more important than ever to think about who you give your money to when you're buying clothing to go with your kicks. Our friends at Guilty Goods started their brand with a goal of giving back, especially to the communities that make sneaker culture possible. With every purchase from Guilty Goods, at least 10% of the proceeds are donated to organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Movement for Black Lives, and many more. You can save 30% on your order by using the code HISTORY at guiltygoods.us. Again, that's history at guiltygoods.us for 30% off, and you can feel good about your purchase knowing you're supporting a meaningful cause. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop-side cases to showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe, the whole shoe. They've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days. He's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community. You can save 10% on your order by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and if you join the Discord, you know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. After you're done listening to this episode, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Now let's get into today's episode.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a James with no regard for human life. 12 seconds. Bryant for the win. Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Sneaker History Podcast, Season 2, Round Dux. I'm here with my two guys. How you doing, Rohit and Mike?
Fantastic, man. Can't complain here.
What up, what up, what up?
Daddy's home. The second Mike came on, I don't know why. I guess you two are both dads now. But yeah, Usher came to mind when Mike entered the chat earlier.
Mike does remind me of a young Usher, so I'm not too disgruntled by that comparison, but keep it going.
Sans the dance moves.
Daddy's home. Lots of good stuff today. We're going to have a really fun episode discussing another trend-setting topic, dunk contest. Something that probably doesn't get talked about enough outside of Michael Jordan in terms of shoes, right? I mean, some things get brought up, but we're going to do a deeper dive into some of our favorite sneaker dunk contest moments from champions of that event. But before we get all the way into that, let's talk rockin' and coppin'. Mike, Rohit, anything particular you guys want to start with, or?
I'll go ahead. Let me see. I got what I was rocking today was my Paperboy and Beams Reeboks CL Club C Legacies, softest shoe you'll ever wear in your life. And then what I'm copping, I mean, the world knows already. I'm going to call in every favor through our Discord, but apparently on February 18th, the Big Bang LeBron 9s come back out, and that's all I have to say. Gotta wish for all the good luck because I'll take that as my only sneakers win ever. I'll take it.
It's like that. Wow. I was going to say, I too had my eyes on the Big Bang, but given the beautiful soliloquy you just gave us, Mike, if you want my pass, you can have it. I'm just on a hiatus right now because we're in between moves. So all my sneakers are in a storage unit to be named later, but I am using my Pegasus. I think they're the 38s with the Missouri colorway just because I needed a pair of beaters, and those are quintessential beaters at that. Robbie, how about you?
I think I'm doing good. We'll go over mine in a second. But to both your point about wanting that shoe, I've been seeing places like Sneaker Steel post, sizes, pretty much 11 and down of like random stock of Watch the Throne still out there and stuff. So they go fast, but like
I need those too.
People like those smaller sizes, not like a small foot, but it's like non-big feet. They tend to linger. So if you keep your eyes open, this is like a week and a half ago. And I looked for both of you, and they've already sold out. But they're out there though, so keep your eyes. Don't always pay resale. There's some maybe retail opportunities out there for you. Personally, I wore the Travis Scott 6s to the Blazer game last night, so I just kept them on foot throughout the afternoon. And my favorite part is this little face guy, the little Cactus Jack guy. I like him. But clean shoe, super comfortable. Like I'm probably gonna wear these two. I bought tickets to that Smokers Club concert in California later this year. I'll probably wear these because there's some opportunity to bring some stuff in maybe in these little pockets.
You utilize your pockets finally?
Who knows how shifty and well-informed security is. I'm just kidding. But those were fun to wear. And then for Coppin, I actually got this pair of Red Ball Jets, not to be confused with Blue Balls, not to be confused with a Chuck Mid, but Red Ball. And it's interesting because it's actually a heritage brand from 51 that was competing with Converse at that time. And another rubber company that just happened to make a shoe, but the one that didn't continue on, right? It's just so interesting that like tire people were like, "All right, fuck it, let's make some shoes." And it happened not once but twice. Converse and this Red Ball company, they were discontinued in the 70s. But they're clean. These come out, I believe they are out now, like redball.com. They have a little history lesson there for you. But it's a clean little shoe. My light's a little too bright. There we go. This nice little like texture on the toe box is pretty cool. And they're actually comfortable. So check these out if you're into something off kilter. Mike said, what'd you describe a hipster as?
I mean, it's just a hipster Sunday brunch shoe. That's what it is.
It was Sunday brunch shoe. I thought it was a great way to describe it. It's a great Sunday brunch shoe. If you have like a hipster in your life who doesn't like wearing, let's say athletic footwear, Reebok, Nike, Adidas, blah, 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 those might be a good idea. And I'm going to get off that tangent, but just the Sunday brunch shoes made me giggle, and I'm probably going to hold on to that one. But do we have any review? I don't think we have any reviews. We haven't had any reviews in.
I hadn't seen it, but let me go ahead and see if somebody blessed us with a review as you guys continue the banter that we're known for as a podcast.
Or just
Mike can just give us the first verse of Daddy's Home. So I only know that one. I only know that one line. So.
I'm in the same boat as you. That's the only line. We've been singing the same line over and over again.
The old Usher is not quite as memorable as young Usher, but we digress.
No reviews here for us to read. Now tell me what you want
that stinks.
Smooth transition.
I mean, we have a great. This is for everybody who has joined the Discord recently. We have a growing Discord, but a dwindling amount of reviews. So if you're new to the Discord, you haven't left a review yet, go do the damn thing. If you've done neither one yet, also go do the damn things with an S at the end.
What?
Help us out.
Do we have a community question today?
We do. I forgot to share it with everybody. So this is going to be a pop quiz community question for everybody else. I don't think you're ready for it.
Probably not.
This one actually comes from. Give me a second. Comes from Iron on Trev. We did that one already.
Nope.
Bum bum bum. We don't have one. This is just a hodgepodge of an episode. Next time though, that was a great suggestion. I have a question for you. Outside of the Big Bang, because you two just both gave me those answers. If you could win instantly one shoe that you know is releasing this year.
Playoff 12.
Off the top of your head, that isn't the one you've both said you already would.
Playoff 12.
Playoff 12?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Honestly, I've been so out of the loop recently. If there's any sort of other LeBron 9 retro, like maybe that nice taxi one, I'll go with that. Why not? I'm just completely out of it with regards to what's dropping this year. So
You're doing grown man things, and that's okay.
No.
You're doing house things.
The most grown man thing I can do is be a competent co-host on this podcast, and unfortunately, I failed in this particular segment. But hey, this is why we bounce back and come for the next segment.
Nah, you never fail.
No failure.
Before we pivot out, I think mine is one people have been seeing more and more of, the Zen Master 4. It's supposed to be like modeled after Phil, apparently, but it's like a tie-dye, clear back tab Jordan 4.
Pretty sick, though.
Quite interested in that.
You know what? I'll say the Bart Simpson dunk.
Oh yeah. Those are great too. No, I forgot about those until you literally said it. Yeah, great pick. Very nice shoe. Instant win. Good wins. Playoff 12s. I guess hippie 4s. Sunday brunch 4s if you like sportswear. And the beautiful Bart Simpson dunk. I guess that brings us to, let's just fumble all the way through. Let's just get all the way to the start point of the main topic of our episode, which is probably going to eat up a lot of time because once you start going down memory lane, it's a long walk down that trail. We're going to have fun with it, though. So many good dunk contest shoes. So many memorable moments. We're going to try to focus on winners. If anybody has anything they want to throw on, in terms of like, oh, well, the second place guy wore this, whatever you want to do, go for it. But primarily we're going to try to stick to winners. And Rohit brought up one where I think is probably the height of dunk contests in like the modern era popularity is with like anything involving Nate Robinson. I'm gonna let Rohit break down the shoe he particularly wants to talk about, but he won 3 times. So he didn't just like compete 3 times. Nate Robinson won 3 times. He won wearing a pair of Hyper Rises. Mm-hmm. He won pairing the pair Rohit's going to talk about in a moment. But then he also wore a pair of Nike Air Force Specialists. 3 wins for a guy who's not 6 feet tall. And then the most popular one at the mall is
the Crypto Nate. But I will use that segue to say I would consider Nate Robinson to be a specialist, and his specialty was his raw athleticism. One of the other famous dunk contest winners was Spud Webb, and I think the only thing that they shared was a height. And if I remember correctly, one of Nate Robinson's dunks in one of the many contests he won involved wearing that Spud Webb jersey and doing the signature bounce. But yeah, the Crypto Nate to me is really interesting for a couple different reasons. It was a flashy shoe. It was very visually appealing. We had not really seen something like that. And then just the subtle shot that it took, because prior to that, we had Dwight Howard, who had probably as memorable of a dunk contest as we could think of in modern times. And what we were kind of chatting about before the show was the fact that every now and then, I'd say maybe once in every 4 dunk contests, you see the next big star win. And that's kind of that first stamp of authenticity that says, yes, this boy is going to be a star. So we had that with Dwight Howard and his performance in 2008. But then, like a kryptonite bullet that stops Superman in his tracks, Nate Robinson jumped over Dwight Howard. And I think he kind of took America's spot as the basketball sweetheart, that even though you may not be a fan, you kind of knew what Nate Robinson was about, and you knew that he was capable of superhuman things. So Crypto Nate for me was just one of those things that was perfect from a marketing perspective, from a shade perspective, and ultimately he did what he needed to do, which was win the dunk contest. Mike or Robbie, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, for us short guys out there, Nate Robinson winning a dunk contest many times was something to aspire. Like, once I saw that, like, all right, cool. If I try hard enough, maybe I can dunk. But this is awesome. I mean, it was a perfect battle of kind of like the quote-unquote David and Goliath, because you had this huge freaking Dwight Howard, and you have, small old Nate Robinson. And the best, the dunk for him to win on was to jump over him. And after the Superman deal the year before, I know dunk contests are more just for the theatrics and like the press, and they played it up perfectly. I mean, clearly they were in on it together, but it was just great entertainment. Probably one of the last great dunk contests, those, I guess, rivalries or pairings that you've seen in a while.
Wait, hold up. I'm using my Zach Morris powers here to call a timeout and tell you about a couple of our partners. These are some of the folks that help us keep the podcast going, and they have some exclusive discounts just for our listeners. Now, if you're already subscribed to our YouTube channel, you know how I love to display my kicks when I'm not rocking them. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights and drop side cases to showcase the entire side of your shoe, not just the heel or the toe. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. Now, if you're a Patreon supporter and a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days, and his hot sauce has been a huge hit within the community. To celebrate the launch of his new coffee habanero flavor hot sauce, and my personal favorite, his new habanero honey, he's given an exclusive discount to our podcast listeners. You can save 10% by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. If you're interested in sponsoring the podcast or becoming a partner with our community, get in touch with us. You can reach us by email at podcast@sneakerhistory.com. Or better yet, tell some of your favorite brands they should be sponsoring the podcast. All right, let's get back into today's episode.
Yeah, he 2009 wore the matching green Knicks jersey too. He was a New York Knick at the time. We didn't even bring up the fact that it's the Foamposite Light. A lot of people just see, Foamposite Kryptonite, which is great, but it's a Foamposite, the light version, but it's easily one of the best colored shoes ever. Like the hue of green on there is just it's kryptonite. It's perfect. It's the perfect embodiment. Rohit, you brought up specialists, and that brings up somebody that I know Mike's also very fond of. I think we're all fond of if you like basketball. Gerald Green. He won in 2007 wearing the ugly, and again, wearing a green jersey, this time the Celtics, wearing a pair of Reebok Pump Showstoppers in this G squared. This is Gerald Green GG, has a little G with a little 2 on it. The craziest looking pumps I've seen from Reebok in a hot minute, but just a specialist of specialists. Gerald Green could probably still kiss the rim right now.
Oh, dude, he can still dunk because the Rockets put out a video of him because he's a player like, I don't know.
Player coach?
Well, he's not playing anymore, but I can't remember his actual title. Is like player relations or whatever, but he's working for the Rockets now. And they had a clip of him, no shoes on, in the Toyota Center, just full on dunking.
Yeah, he has bunnies, as the kids say, and I know that I think probably his most memorable dunk is the one where he blew the candle off the cupcake, but he didn't win for that. And to Robbie's point, he won in 2007. I'm just trying to remember what were some of the memorable dunks from that, because when you do kind of go through this highlights of dunk contests, they all meld into one super mediocre one, because that was the one thing I will say in terms of being an old man. Back in my day, the dunk contest was so efficient. Nobody missed a dunk. Everybody was keeping it moving. But now it truly does feel like a play, to borrow Mike's theatrical theme that he called out.
Yeah, they were
because I mean,
go ahead.
We're humans, bro. Go ahead, Mike. But it's just like we've done most things already.
Yes.
So you got to throw some theatrics in there. It's like everybody can dunk from the free throw line now. Mike, I'm sorry, but like it happens though.
So. First question, though, I had for Gerald Green is like, what came first, his logo or the Gatorade G2? Because somebody owes somebody else some money, looks like. And second, with the
they're ugly, but they're cool, right? It's
they're atrocious, but they're cool because of all the extra things on them. But I could never pull it off. There's just so many items going on, but it's cool to have on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's part of the dunk contest. You have to kind of put yourself out there. And one thing I will always admire about every single dunk contest entrant is the fact that in the best way imaginable, they have no shame, because like you guys had both mentioned, we are human. So we have kind of scratched the surface and then some when it comes to the physical capabilities of performing dunks. So when we see these truly outlandish dunks, it usually takes upwards of 5 to 10 times. So kudos to you. And if you can do it wearing that ugly ass sneaker, more power to Gerald Green, because this is something that does not give me any sort of jealousy in terms of wanting to be Gerald Green in this moment. The most appealing thing about this is probably eating the cupcake that Gerald Green blew the candle out of. But that's just me being a fat kid.
See, it's two pronged. It's partially Reebok at the time. That was their design language, and the Celtics suck. So it's just like the green is always, it's always hard to have a nice green shoe, I think sometimes. But it's about heritage. So, I mean, so it's a Reebok Punk Showstopper. The word showstopper, I guarantee, is a callback to what Rohit was saying earlier. And like D Brown covering his eyes, he wore the Omni Pump 2 during that dunk contest. Like Reebok's heritage is really in dunking. And Gerald Green fit so well there. I'm happy they gave him a PE at that time. but just like the pump and dunking and all that jazz is just like comes together really well for a dunk contest.
Yep. No, wasn't because he was one of the winners back in 2014. John Wall, correct me if I'm wrong. He won in a pair of Adidas, the crazy ones, and that I guess that whatever that All-Star theme was that year. But wasn't he a Reebok athlete before they finished up the basketball line when he wore like the Zig type shoes?
Yeah, he wore the Zig shoes during like a skills challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been the season before.
Okay.
But I know once Reebok was absorbed, they just kind of started wearing Adidas. Like, okay, let's just stop that now. let's just go ahead and stop doing
right,
that.
because he was the poster boy for the Zig Tech, and if I remember, the Wizards have always had that kind of out there, sorry, Dandon, golden black combo, and if I remember correctly, there might have been a golden black Zig Tech pair where I'm like, this isn't it, Chief. So keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, so we can't get off this pump conversation without, D Brown's great, right? The Omni 2 is a fantastic shoe, but the OG of OGs, probably your granddad's favorite dunker of all time, Dominique, the pump, the original pump in the 1990 dunk contest, as he rightfully got a championship underneath his belt from the dunk contest, not in the league, but just the pump. Him with the pump is, I mean, easily still one of the most iconic shoe athlete duos in NBA history. Like, Neek was the pump was Neek.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of sadly what Dominique's legacy has become, because he was wrongfully robbed of, or not wrongfully, he was robbed from the 1988 dunk contest from Jordan, because I think, as we'll kind of touch on when we get to the Jordan 3 and its importance, he was matching Michael dunk for dunk, and then in some instances he was better than Michael. And I think, much like how he was kind of skipped over in, I don't remember if it was the top 50 or the top 75 players, he was skipped over on that. And I always kind of feel for Neek, because he was a transcendent dunker in the way that he probably would have led the House of Highlights equivalent in 1980s. And all we know him as is this in-game dunker, kind of a rich man Sean Kemp. But at the same time, his sneaker history, pardon the bad pun, deserves to be commemorated, and not just these one-off episodes that we do.
Yeah. I mean,
they rectified it in the 75th team. He got left off in the 50.
So,
Mike,
go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Well, I was going kind of piggybacking off what you said about transcendent dunkers, and you had Neek then in 90, but then I have to kind of scoot up about 21 years. And you have Blake Griffin in 2011 jumping over cars. I mean, you have guys out there who I don't want to say their sole purpose was dunking, but their sole purpose was kind of dunking. Like they were great in game. They were going to go down as great players, but it's like they were built for dunk contests. I mean, Blake Griffin and what I guess was it wasn't a hyper dunk. What was it? Let me see here.
No, it's the Air Max Flyby.
Flyby, yeah, because that was before he had that PE hyper dunk that they had on sale. This was kind of the intro to that. And I mean, rolling out the Kia, jumping over. I think they had a choir out there too, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he brought in a whole production, and I mean, his in dunk games were probably just as good. So, I mean, clearly no cars in the game, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's the most appropriately named shoe on the list of dunk contest winners, because he truly flew by the car to dunk it. But at the same time, I was a little disappointed because he jumped over the quote-unquote narrow part of the car and not the part that we would want him to. But then also, these guys are still multi-million-dollar athletes, and they're not trying to get their ACL blown out just to appease people like me in a dunk contest. So
you want to get taken out by a Kia?
Baron Davis in the moonroof of the Kia. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
Baron Davis
jumped to throw it out.
threw the ball, but Baron Davis But I think what's so cool, and like why All-Star Weekend rocks for sneakers outside of sales, like the Flyby, the right color red to where it pops so freaking hard. Like that shoe pops like nothing else. Like you can't miss it from a mile away. In Terrence Ross's win in 2013 in Houston, Mike's hometown, he had the Chuck Posit, the Barkley Posit Area 72, which the outsole if you charge it up right, super glowy, 3M upper, spackle print all throughout the foam posit in the middle. Like, you cannot miss that shoe. Like, better or worse, that design was supposed to be like the next big, foam posit thing. Didn't really pan out that way, but I think it's a fresh design. I like it a lot. It's a shoe of its era, but again, it's all-star kicks that just pop so hard. And on dunk contests, it's all eyes on you, baby. There's nobody else but you.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
You and your shoes. And I second your sentiment, Robbie. I think that 2012 pack, not just the Barkley foam.
This is 13. This is 1 year after. This is 13.
Apologies. But I was just going to go down the path of, I love that Houston colorways. I think we had the Kobe 8 in that bright orange, the LeBron in the purple, and for the life of me, I think, was it the KD 5 in the like Martian green?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that all sounds right.
Yep. So that's a special time and place for all of us. But as Robbie mentioned, that was probably 1 year too soon or too late. So I'll go ahead and just say, going through my list, the next kind of event that I
wrote this, you made this great point in 2012, the year you initially tried to reference. The winner, Jeremy Evans, wore the Air Max Destiny in a team bank colorway. So a black pair of Air Max Destinies. So
I was just going to say, is that the least swaggy sneaker that has been worn by a dunk contest winner?
He went to Dick's Sporting Goods to grab a shoe beforehand, and just that's what they had left. He's like, I need this. Let's just go.
He's like, yo, equipment manager, something my size now. I forgot my shoes.
My shoes.
Maybe that's a funny story. Maybe we'll have Jeremy Evans on one day, and he's just like, oh fuck, forgot to pack shoes. Like, went to work without my badge, but went to work without my basketball shoes.
The most memorable dunk out of that competition was him dunking over Gordon Hayward, and that just tells me everything I need to know about that particular contest.
Yes, but the black Team Bank 2012, all the great Galaxy shoes out there, all of them. He wears a fucking black and white.
Nike lost his care package. That's what happened. He's like, I don't know what to wear.
Yeah. Well, what's funny because, and a lot of the times, even if you're not like an all-star or, a top end player, you get that shoe to wear. Like, there's role players wearing Black History Month or all-star or Christmas shoes, yada, yada.
not Jeremy Evans.
There's a Dick's Sporting Goods right there. And he's like,
I got $59.99 in my pocket. What you got?
It's 2012. They didn't have next day shipping.
It's my birthday.
What's the discount look like?
I'm sure, Jeremy. I want to know that story. There has to be a story behind the black Team Bank, but we'll never know. It's a funny thing. Mike, I like how you brought up the John Wall stuff. I think the Kobe shoe, him wearing the Kobe's was an interesting thing. The crazy ones, technically. I'm gonna give it to Rohit, but I want to talk about Kobe though, because Kobe is being so many things. A lot of people forget that. Yes, he was a great in-game dunker, obviously, but he won the dunk contest too. We're in the EQT
97?
Elevation, the purple pair, iconic, but beautiful, beautiful time. What a time to be alive.
I think that was fresh off his date with Brandy, a.k.a. Moesha, or maybe that was a culmination that led Brandy to decide, yes, I'm going to be going to Lower Merion High School for this prom. But yeah, it goes to one of the other common themes that we see with the dunk contest that we've kind of alluded to in the past, where it becomes this coronation of a young star. And at that moment, Kobe Bryant was the epitome of cool and arguably the coolest game in North America at the time, because we'd just gotten off the Super Bowl and we were just all buzzing about the fact that, this kid from high school is really doing this. And he was one of the few people that the stage never felt big enough. In fact, he was one of those people that transcended the stage of the size of the stage itself. So shout out to Bean. We miss you. And I'm sure he's judging a dunk contest up there as we speak.
He's probably just shaking his head like, y'all are trash. That's what he's doing. But he did it in the warm-up shirt. That's what makes it even cooler. Like, he's like, you know what? I can just smoke you guys in my warm-up.
Yeah, but see, the funny thing about that is, like, in that era, like, even Brent Barry, I believe, had, like, his warm-up shirt on when he had his iconic dunk. So there was something about that mid-'90s aesthetic that people are like, you know what? We're going to take that mullet approach where it's going to be business up top, but then down below it's going to be a party, and we're all going to be rocking our basketball shorts.
Brent Barry took it further. He had like, the warm-up jacket on. Like, he had the whole jacket.
which I think is fire. I think it's dope. 97 was Kobe's win. It's crazy to think about. That's the beginning of his career, and he won dunk contest. And you think of all these other people like Jeremy Evans. I'm sure he's living life to the fullest right now, but young players, are they going to pop off? And is this dunk contest the starting block of something bigger? And for Kobe, it really was.
Yeah.
96, Brent Barry, the Zoom Flight 95, crispy ass white and red colorway. That colorway needs to be retroed regularly.
That shoe needs to be
but
retroed
with the
more.
shooting shirt, the Clippers shooting shirt, shooting jacket, amazing. And the year before that, a shoe we're going to talk about in more detail probably next week, Harold Miner, which didn't do a lot of things in his career, but he got off a fresh pair of, ergo lightweight performances, LWPs.
Didn't do much.
You had mentioned about the fact that some of these players are specialists. I think calling Harold Miner a specialist is paying him the ultimate compliment, other than his nickname being Baby Jordan. But it is what it is, man. As the immortal Jalen Rose says, keep getting them checks, Harold Miner. I'm sure he can be found on Cameo for $69.99 and give you a very personalized message on your birthday, bar mitzvah, or any sort of graduation that you may have in the future.
He won twice, though. We got to give him that. He was a 2-time champ of the dunk contest. So
he did win twice.
Gotta give him something.
You're not wrong.
But he didn't do anything else.
I have to say, this guy, he got Chingy to make him a cameo for his birthday.
I know you did.
And I'm gonna start paying. I'm gonna start hiring Chingy to make all kinds. I'm gonna hire Chingy to do a little 15-second clip. 15-minute clip about his favorite sneakers. We'll get Chingy on here. I'll pay for it.
Why don't we start
No big deal.
charging for cameos for birthdays, bar mitzvahs, so on and so forth? I feel like
I was gonna say, I think Engvall's the only one that's famous enough. He's got that blue check in the Twitterverse that we're all aspiring for. But
we got blue checks up here.
I would pay up to $12 for a Nick Engvall personalized message. So let's see if we can crowdsource that.
Yeah, you got to pay me to leave because I am not so dynamic. I have to say the dynamic is Harold Miner won the first time in the Nike Air Dynamic Flight shoe that has not retro, I believe.
Because no one's going to buy
because that would draw attention to Harold Miner, and that's something we just don't speak about anymore as basketball fans.
We just don't be doing that. So it's just so funny how careers can go, because I think early in this next player's career, one Andre Iguodala, he probably could have been pigeonholed with the Isaiah Writers and Harold Miners and all these guys who were just like supposed to be big flashy dunkers, and they are, but then like there's not a lot of substance behind it. Iggy has then flourished into, he was a legit all-star, like I think only one-timer. Finals MVP, obviously it's a big one. But in his robbery, he did not win, so I'm definitely doing this as a caveat. He was robbed by one Nate Robinson, straight up robbed. One of the sickest dunks of all time, off the side of the backboard, coming from behind, and then dunks it from behind the hoop. Like, who the fuck does that? It was certified fresh because he was wearing the Nike Shocks, certified. I just wanted to bring all that up because I feel like the 10s from Nike basketball, 2010s, early 10s, just had some really, really fun, just good, heritage inspired, be it Flight or Hirachi or whatever inspiration they had from making fun basketball shoes. So it's like the Shocks Commander is definitely one that will forever be lost to the memory books. That shit will probably never be retro.
Don't retro that.
But if you were there, you're like, oh, that shit's, it's tight. It's a good looking shoe. I think it's a good looking pair of Shocks. Probably one of the best.
Fun fact. I just going through this list.
And the other thing.
I was going to say that the Nike Shock has never won a dunk contest. Just put that out there. It has never won a dunk contest.
Shots fired.
Wow. No, that's saying something, because I think the shoe that we most attribute Vince Carter with, at least from a casual perspective, would have been a Shock. So I'm sure you've ruined many a trivia night, Mike, by saying that fact. But I will say this, the most lasting image I have during that Andre Iguodala dunk contest that I think, who did he lose to, Robbie? You said Nate Robinson?
Nate Robb.
There is a clip of Damon Jones in a bright red Kool-Aid packet of a suit, and he is commenting on things the way only Damon Jones can, and Charles Barkley literally derails the production of the dunk contest, similar to what I'm doing with this episode, and saying, can we please just keep looking at Damon Jones' suit? And so I implore our listeners, please find Damon Jones' suit from that night because it truly is the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh yeah,
we will make that probably the cover of this episode. I'll try to. So here's just another just random player that ultimately had, I think, a shoe. Well, I know a shoe that's popular now that we'll probably never see a retro of. But Fred Jones in a dog year of dunk contest in 2004 as a lowly Indiana Pacer, won wearing the Air Jordan New 2 with the cover on it. The New 2, the shrouded, ugly ass. That's just like the worst looking Jordan 2 you could make. But he won a dunk contest in it, and it'll forever be immortalized, that white and navy colorway. Not a lot of signatures outside of Jordan. I brought him up to pivot to Jordan, but it's like outside of him, not a lot of Jordans in the dunk contest either as winners. Who isn't Michael Jordan?
Yeah, I was like, who wasn't a 2-time winner named Michael Jordan?
Who wasn't Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that if we ever see Zion in the dunk contest, I think that's when we're going to get our Jordan winning moment. But yeah, at this point, that looks more like a fantasy than anything else, and we just hope Zion gets better with his injury.
I forgot he was in the league, honestly.
Man, Zion's ain't never doing a dunk contest, and that's okay. But, like LeBron never did. I mean, I was watching a All-Star game, I think like 2009, and they were talking, is LeBron going to do it next year? Is he going to be in the dunk contest? They had that conversation every year, like would he or would he not? Well, and obviously he never did.
Rumor was like it was 9 or 10 in Dallas. Whatever All-Star game was in Dallas, he was going to do it. And which somebody, I can't remember, it was Fat Joe or Mayer, like stole the shoes he was supposed to wear or some nonsense because he practiced in them, but he decided not to do the dunk contest at the last moment. It was like a pair of like hyperfuse LeBron 7s that never released that he was going to dunk in, and that's the lore and the folktale.
No, yeah, I think that makes sense because I think the year before he was petitioning for it because at the time it was going to be the most viewed basketball game of all time because it was in Jerry World. And I think at that moment they were going to open up what felt like 100,000 seats in that stadium. And granted, it's kind of an absurd sentence to say out loud, but that stadium truly is one of the biggest things in the world. So yeah, I think the closest thing we got was there was a Nike commercial that was narrated by Bradley Cooper, and we got LeBron in the dunk contest. It was just he wasn't wearing any recognized NBA jerseys because I think at the time Audi had the contract, but maybe in a different timeline. Maybe in a different one.
Well, in this timeline, people will continue to use the dunk contest as another reason why Michael Jordan's better than LeBron. LeBron didn't even do a dunk contest. Michael Jordan won 2 of them. But, again, the New 2, which I think is super fitting. So Fred Jones in the New 2, Michael Jordan won his first dunk contest in the old 2, right? In 1987. And then in 88, I mean, it's been immortalized through the shoe itself multiple times, be it with like the free throw line stripe on the sole of the Air Jordan 3, but pretty much the moment that put the brand on the map. In my eyes, like the Jordan 3 1988 dunk contest is like, born in 88. How old is that? Old enough to make history. Just crazy.
I mean, it's just one of those things to me, and I'm sure we'll all answer this question in some way, shape, or form over the course of this episode. But what do you think is the more iconic performance, the Jordan 88 in the threes or Vince in not the Nike Shocks, but the and 1 Tai Chi in the white and red?
Oh, Vince.
Yeah, I'll say Vince easily.
No, it is Vince, and I think it's just the fact that there was such a gap between him and second place, and I know that was a pretty loaded dunk contest because I think it was Steve Francis and Tracy McGrady, and I want to say Ray Allen might have been the 4th, and it was just absurd because that's one of those moments that we talk about where, am I truly the same species as Vince Carter? Because he's making this look effortless.
I mean, that's why those two are a good comparison to make, or a good this or that, because people looked at MJ and thought that same thing. Is he the same species as me? Is when he took off from the free throw line. But Vince Carter just like, I mean, it's like it's like contemporary art versus, old classic Van Gogh. Yeah, classic. It's just like MJ's the classic, but it's like it's boring. Like it's cool. Vince Carter flipped it, reversed it, upgraded it, and it's forever.
He flipped it, put that thing in reverse, to quote Missy Elliott.
I was waiting for it.
Yep. Yeah, I'll give that to you, Mike. But I was actually looking at the dunk contest participants from that particular contest. I apologize. I think Ray Allen might have been in the Kobe Bryant dunk contest, but that was also still a loaded competition in terms of we had Carter, we had the immortal Ricky Davis, we had Steve Francis, we had Larry Hughes, we had T-Mac, who I think probably would have won the contest had it not been for Vince Carter and had his moment in the sun, and Jerry Stackhouse. All guys that could leap, all of them having some sort of connection to Jordan or North Carolina or sneakers in general.
Very interesting pool there.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, the and one, that moment for and one is like
Huge.
It's so powerful. That's their brand moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like their brand moment is that Vince Carter dunk.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Period.
And one was literally the little basketball company that could, and I don't mean that in a derogatory term, because you had that basketball moment in the professional sense, because you saw Vince Carter put his damn elbow through the rim. And then to follow that up with the And One mixtape tour, and initially just the DVDs themselves, and then broadcasting it on ESPN and cultivating these personalities and getting to know them behind the hoops, so to speak. And yeah, And One had a run, and it's truly one of those things that unless you were living in the moment, you truly won't realize how important they were and how impactful they were. So
Well, I got a question for you guys, though.
Go ahead.
So after Vince Carter dunk, I know I'm not the only one, but who put their basketball like to 6-7 feet to see if they can do it, and how much did that crap hurt when you got your arm through the hoop?
Terribly. It hurt.
I lowered the hoop, and then I pretended to be a three-point shooter, and I realized I still couldn't do either of those things. So
Vince Carter hurt his forearm for the heel. He could have pulled an arm muscle or something. But I mean, this while we're on the N1 topic, the following year in 2001, Desmond Mason also won in the N1, but the N1 Mad Game. So N1 with back-to-back in the turn of the millennium dunk contest.
Makes sense. For
Had,
that time, it makes sense.
They had a KG at that time too. They were killing it. But I mean, I have to bring this up too. So and one. The following year in 2002, we have Jason Richardson winning in Reebok. The year after that, another Reebok. So like Reebok, think what you want about Reebok, like it or not. Like Mike's sweatshirt has owned dunk contests. What is that? Oh, and one. Who's that though?
Yeah, it's the KG and
KG.
one.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Someone sent me a bunch of old like vintage stuff. I'm still trying to figure out who it is. I don't know if it's Secret Santa or not, but it had that and one ad in it. And dude, I have little piles of these dope posters and stuff, magazine cutouts. I have no idea who sent them to me, but if you're listening, thank you, because that's some dope stuff like the Slam magazine cover.
You might have to re-gift that KG.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, Mike, you may have the basketball Riddler who's getting ready for the Batman and just cutting out pictures of magazines with no eyes and no mouth, and who knows. The most interesting thing for me was I know that the Jadakiss AI commercials have a special spot in a lot of people's hearts, but Styles P had a pretty dope commercial with KG for N1 that had a sicker beat to me. So let's show love when we can show love.
Oh, versus battle.
Such a great time. I mean, because like you brought those Reebok commercials were great. That's when it was RBK. That's like Yao Ming Reebok.
Yep.
So the pair Jason Richardson wore were the ATR Elite. They had a whole ATR line of like 3 or 4 different models from Reebok, all like ATR umbrella. And it's just like things change, but Reebok remains pretty constant. I want to see them get, this new question performance model on somebody's feet for All-Star Weekend or something this year. It'd be good to see.
Yeah.
For old time's sake.
Montrez, come on, put them on. You wear all the other questions. Throw these suckers on and see what they can do.
Montrez can't dunk like that anymore.
No, I just need him to just put them on in the game.
I don't know if there's a point guard that can make it.
Yeah.
I feel like Montrez is kind of the big man version of PJ Tucker, where his sneaker choice almost seems to be a game of truth or dare. Or let me just see how far I can go into my closet.
Facts.
Yeah, he goes pretty far deep. Pretty deep. pretty deep.
Pretty deep.
So riddle me this: if you had to wear as our parting questions, what would be one pair you would rock of all the contestant winners, dunk contest winners, Jordan included? So you can have the Jordan 3 if you want. What's the pair you're taking of all of them, of all these winners?
Dang.
So I'm going to go off the beaten path. Paul George was in a dunk contest in 2012, and he had on a pair of Nike Air Flight 1s that I just thought were completely out there in the best kind of way. And if I remember correctly, that was a dunk contest where they almost adopted like a skateboarding contest mentality of it was just one big 10-minute session and people were just trying to get off as many dunks as they can, and whatever caught the judge's eye won. But there was something about that particular sneaker that Paul George won that I thought never really got its proper due. But I think obvious answer is probably that Jordan 3 white cement. Mike, how about you?
Man, I'm going to have to go with the EQT Elevation. I got it. Like, something about that shoe is just a beautiful shoe to me. What'd you say? What is that? They get stuck again in like a weird face.
That was I was like literally
he loves you.
Of all the shoes on earth, I was like, oh, there's so many shoes. No one's gonna pick these EQTs.
You have you met me?
That's why I was like, oh man, of all of them, I guess there's no rule. This isn't a draft. I can agree with you. I don't have to be mad at you.
There's more than one pair of those particular sneakers.
I'll share.
Mike gets the left foot. I get the right foot.
There we go.
Exactly.
But no, yeah, easily the EQT. And I really hope we get that retro this year of that colorway.
We should.
It's not even the best Adidas Kobe shoe. It's like not a lot of things. I think it's aged really poorly, actually. But it's just, there's something so special about it where it's just like, that's that shoe. Like it's
Wasn't the scuttlebutt we were going to get that this year, or was it just a black and white version of the?
We're getting these this year, apparently. So from understanding, we're actually getting the purple dunk contest ones. But the thing about Adidas, you have to watch out because when it comes to basketball, they don't put release dates on their drops. They just show up. Like the D-Rose 1.5s, the rest of mods, the T-Max stuff, they just miraculously pop up on the website and there's no talk. It's like going to old style like athlete's foot, just like, oh, look, there's a shoe.
I think you're 100% right. That's how they do it. I think maybe for this one, you got to put a little, put a little fanfare behind it. We'll see. It's such a clean shoe. Yeah, I mean that one, or I mean Josh Smith had some really funky Adidas. The A3, you remember the A3 stuff? Yeah, the pair of A3 Forum mids. So it's the Forum plus A3 Tech, which is like a circle.
It's a bounce, basically, like a
line going through it, kind of like Shocks.
Yeah.
It's the closest Nike Shocks ever got to winning the dunk contest with Josh Smith in Adidas.
True.
Closest they're getting. But that's been our episode, man. Listeners, what's your favorite dunk contest winner shoes? I don't know this answer. You tell us. Who is it? Who it be?
Who it is?
I guess we'll use this opportunity to do what we normally do, which is leave you with our calling cards. So you can find me on Instagram at RohitM13 and on Twitter at Roheezy, where if I'm not posting Wordle scores, I am trying to figure out what's coming out this year, because other than the Bart Simpson dunk, there's got to be more heat coming this way. Mike, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can always find me on Sneaker History. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at MadWatcher789 and always on YouTube at Mike Guillory as well. Robbie, where you at?
Solid. You can find me at RAHBEE702 and make sure you follow at Sneaker History. Join the Discord. There's a link to it in the Sneaker History bio. So please go do that. Thank you so much for listening. Peace.
See ya.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify or Amazon Music. And make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more content coming for you in 2022. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in the Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is the connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions we have in common with other people within the community. We recently launched the first of a handful of new podcasts that will be coming directly from our sneaker history community. We'll get into the details for those in a future episode, but I'm excited to share that the Exhaust Notes podcast is now live. This is a show about the world of cars, racing, and other automotive-related topics. If you're a fan of Formula One, Formula Drift, cars and coffee, or you're just a weirdo like me that enjoys the smell of gasoline, I think you'll enjoy this one. If you do, add Exhaust Notes to your subscribe list so you'll be updated when we drop future episodes. As always, thank you for supporting Sneaker History, and don't forget to tell someone you like their kicks today. Peace. Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.